What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Building Raxus in Lego. We are at week number 3. We took a break last week. I was just busy with Thanksgiving and being out of the house, but this week I am really excited to show you guys the progress we got done for the prototype design for the tree, and you might be able to see a little bit of it behind me. So I'm actually really excited to share the progress with you guys and get your guys' thoughts on what we're building so far. Now, before we go ahead and get started, guys, drop a like on this video and make sure you subscribe with the bell icon on. Make sure you don't miss any of these videos every single Saturday, and of course make sure you follow me on Instagram for some more behind the scenes stuff. I want to give a huge thanks to the following individuals for donating on this past week's live stream. A huge thanks to everyone who donates. We got Mr. Soros, Kai Brix, Franz Lindbergh, Garrido, Holden's HoloNet, Owen Tomlinson, UCS Productions, and of course the one and only Snowball. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the mock. All of your donations go right back into the mock. In fact, I ordered more parts using your guys' generous donations, so huge shout out to you. Now, today's episode of Building Raxus is sponsored by brickzz over on BrickLink, one of the best BrickLink stores. I've used them all the time for ordering pieces for mocks, minifigures, sets, whatever it may be. They're absolutely fantastic. You guys can check out the link down below in the description. When you guys do make an order from brickzz, make sure you type in BrickWiz in the order comment. You guys will get some free stuff with your order as well, which is awesome. So huge thanks to brickzz for sponsoring today's video. And while we're on the topic, last episode we had a $25 coupon to their store as a giveaway, and the winner is going to be, we have Will Brick Productions. Dude, you can make many versions of this. You can make the Republic Invasion of Raxus, the version you're doing. This one you could just do the daily life of Raxus, triple the content, man. That's also very true, but huge congratulations to Will. Make sure you DM me on my Instagram or Twitter or email me. My email will be down below in the description. Make sure you contact me to get your free $25 BrickLink coupon to brickzz. This week there is no giveaway for brickzz. Next week in week 4 there will be a massive giveaway, so make sure you guys come back for that. So last week, like I said, we took a little bit of a break just between a huge busy work schedule with Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and just hanging out with family. We took a week off, and I came back this week hitting the ground running and trying to get a final design for the Raxus trees. We've been working on the hill for ever since basically the episode started in the series, so we're going to be working on the hill and the trees for next week, and I hope, if everything goes well, by next week or the week after, the entire hill will be complete with details, with grass, with trees, with everything like that. But the focus of this week was getting a design ready and set in stone for the trees, and I think you guys are seriously going to like it. So like I said, if you guys are excited, drop a like down below. Make sure you subscribe. Don't miss any of these videos coming up in the future. Let's go ahead and get started with building Raxus in Lego from Star Wars: The Bad Batch, week 3. So one of the first things that I did this week was I got the majority of the standard green done for the hill. Of course, there are some areas that still need a little bit of covering and more detail and everything like that, but I did spend a decent amount of money at my store, the Lego store, and then I bought a bunch of different pad pieces. We have some 1x2 plate, which is going to be good, and then also some bigger plates, some like 4x4s and stuff like that, which is also very, very important. But now that we have like a general green coloring going on with the hill, I have a little bit of a better idea as what we're working with. Of course, as time goes on, we're going to be adding some more detail when it comes to the hills and different elevations, and obviously making the transition between this area and all the other ones a little bit more smooth, but definitely wanted to get some good progress with that. But I think overall this gives you a pretty good idea of what we're working with, and I actually really like how it's turning out, especially how there's like different shades of green. There's like 3 different colors of green going on here, which I actually kind of like. It adds a little bit more of a realistic look to it. So I think once we get the trees going and then some of the bushes, I think this is going to come together really well. And I think obviously whenever I have time, not super important, but just going to fill in the rest of the gaps and start populating this place with the trees. So like I said in the beginning of the video, this week's episode is going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more lackluster, or less luster, I guess, compared to previous episodes, just because I'm super busy this week working Black Friday weekend, having Thanksgiving and other family obligations this week. So this episode is not going to be super crazy, but the name of the game for today's episode is prototyping, designing a good technique for the trees that is going to work both on a large scale, and so I don't have to break my bank spending so much money on new parts. So honestly, the rest of this episode is probably just going to be me talking to the camera, showing you guys different footage of different parts of the design process that I'm probably going to be using for the trees, but we got a big package here from Brix. What I'm actually noticing is that these guys, hinge plates, these are the 1x2 hinge plates connected, and these guys I think are going to be the heroes of this entire mock. I'm loving the different ways you can angle these pieces, and I'm really trying to use more of these because I have a lot of them already. But in here we have the different hinges, and I'm probably going to be using for the trees, and then a whole bunch of different brown pieces that we'll be using for the details. Now here's a picture of a post from TheBrickWiz. They are a phenomenal Instagram page if you guys are looking for techniques and also reviews of new sets. They're also recognized ambassadors. I love the team over there, so shout out to TheBrickWiz. But this is a really cool design I wanted to try and use because not only does it look really cool, at least in my opinion, it also kind of looks like what we're going for, but also I have a lot of the parts on hand already. So this is kind of what we're going to be going for. We're going to be testing it for this week's episode, seeing if it's going to work, seeing if it's going to be feasible for my mock and the size of it, and then hopefully going forward into next week, we're going to be mass producing all the trees. So I got all these parts, and let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, I started off with the hinge plates. These are extra hinge plates I was able to order from the Brix Auto Store. Again, huge thanks to them for sponsoring. Check out their store down below. Got a lot of these parts, and it's great because these hinges allow me to recreate different curves and stuff like that in many different ways, and I think it's going to be helpful to us when we're making the actual trees. So I first started off by stacking some of these hinge plates in a very rough circle. Again, a lot of the stuff is trial and error. I won't really know what works until I get to a specific point in the design process. Now, once I had these hinge plates, I then started to add some snot bricks. Now snot bricks or studs not on top bricks, which is basically bricks with studs on the side. These are phenomenal pieces. They're almost in every single Lego set, and even you can find some of these or brackets on your local Lego store's pad wall, which is always super nice to have a constant access to. Now I opted to use these 2x2 snot bricks, which are basically just a little easier for me to recreate, and then also using filler brick to add and fill in the different heights when it comes to the trees. Now, what's really important about the Raxus trees is they are very, very tall, and there's also not that many of them. I think in the entire hill, we're probably going to have maybe 8 or 9 trees, which honestly isn't too many, but again, the height is something very important. So we have to figure out a technique that's going to be very sturdy that we're going to be using, so that way the trees don't fall over, which is obviously very important. So once I had a very general rough outline and a shape of the circle for the base of the trees, the idea was to expand. Now, what we're basically going to be doing is attaching plates onto the sides of the bricks or the snot bricks, and then detailing those sides to look like the sides of actual real life trees, which is again why I ended up getting a lot of different brown parts and also using some parts left over from Endor to detail the sides of the trees. Now, some people like to do a lot of tile, some people like to do a lot of plates. I personally like a little bit of both. I actually don't mind the way studs look on the side. I don't mind exposed studs, and I actually love the aesthetic of it. So from here on out, it's basically randomizing the different sides of the plates for the trees, making sure it looks natural, making sure there's no weird looks and stuff like that. And obviously when we get to different heights, we'll be adding branches and everything like that. But for now, that is kind of what we're doing. So after a couple of live streams on YouTube, Instagram, probably 4 hours into getting a design, this is what we've come up with for the Raxus tree. And if I'm being completely honest, I like it a lot. There's a few changes I would make, but I first want to talk to you guys a little bit about what the idea is. There are obviously things that we can make better. Obviously the top of the tree still needs some work. I have yet to come up with the design for the top of the tree, but that's not really too important at the moment. Obviously the idea is getting a tree that looks pretty solid. Now, this thing's pretty tall. If you guys remember earlier in the video, we were talking about those modules, and the trees are modular. So when it comes to transporting this for Brick Fair, Virginia, I'll basically be able to deconstruct the trees and rebuild them, which is going to be helpful so that way they don't all completely break. You basically stack the modules on top of each other, and this thing's pretty tall. I think in total, there are 6 different modules in this one. So each module is like sort of this section right here. and then this section, and then this section, and this section. So it kind of goes up like that. Now, if I'm being honest, I still think we need to go a little taller. Maybe even 2 more taller would be the height of the tallest tree for Raxus when it comes to it. But I think overall, I love the way it came together. We were able to use a lot of different pieces here, mostly different modified plate, tile, and even some dark brown to give the tree a little bit more color. And we also were able to customize the bottom here to make the tree look like it's actually rooted in the ground, make it look more like a stump, which is good. It adds a nice little shape and some even better color with the bright orange leaves right here, which looks fantastic. And I never built a tree with this color before using the bright orange, and I just love the way this looks, especially when you take a look at how it contrasts with the green base below it. Now, something I also did forget to mention is that this week and a couple of weeks ago, I actually started to give some ground detailing to the hill. This is a very arduous process. It's very tedious, and it's something I can really just do on my own. So no really need to show you guys the progress here. I mean, obviously, we're going to continue plating and tiling the entire ground here. But really what the focus was for this week was this tree. And I love the way it came out, quite simply. And actually, let me get a minifigure. For sake of the video, I'll use this P1 clone that came in the Jedi and Clone Trooper battle pack. But you guys can see how big this tree actually is. And again, I think we should go maybe 1 or 2 modules bigger. And I think that's going to kind of be a good fit for us. So I love the way it came out. I had a lot of doubts on how this tree would come out in the end because honestly, I've never even really built any tree before. Granted, what I use, the technique, it's a very simple technique. It's really easy to replicate. It uses just very generic parts that hopefully a lot of you guys have, such as the snot bricks here and stuff like that. So I am running a little low on those. We will need to make an order for more of those. Hopefully my buddy Hunter over from Forever Lego Studios has some extra ones that I can use in this mock because, guys, I did not anticipate this thing using so many pieces. It was kind of crazy, but all in all, I'm loving the way it's coming out. I think if you guys can try to imagine this entire section just with more trees and even some skinnier trees as well, I am going to try to make some smaller versions of this, both in height and in skinniness. So if we can get 4 more of these trees right here and then 2 or 3 of the skinnier ones to make it the height look interchangeable, you know, vary it a little bit, give it some differentiation, I think that's going to go a super long way. Obviously detailing the ground of the hill and stuff like that. And then after that, we can finally start working on the platform, the walkway, the ATTEs, and all that fun stuff. So I really am happy with the progress, even though it took 2 weeks this time instead of 1. I love the way it's coming out. I love the way the tree's looking. Let me know what you guys think down below. Of course, we still have some detailing to do on the very top here, but I think you guys can get the general idea of sort of what we're working with for building Raxus in Lego for the hill over here. And I can just imagine, guys, this is going to look so cool when it's done, when it's completely covered, when it's completely detailed. That's going to be something awesome. And I hope to have this entire section, both the ground detail and the trees, done within the next 2 weeks, which I think is very doable. Granted, we have some obligations coming up, which I'll talk about a little later in the outro for today's video, but I'm loving the way it looks, guys. Let me know what you think down below. And with that being said, let's go ahead to the outro of today's video. That brings a wrap to this week's video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you're thinking of the trees so far. I spent a lot of time trying to get a good design going. The issue was obviously building something that's sturdy, that's somewhat easy to build, but also something that accommodates to my current parts collection. This mock doesn't have a huge budget that we used to have for Crate or for Kessel or for an Axis, so I'm trying to build with what I have, and I think for what it's worth, I think the tree looks super cool. So if you guys did like it, let me know down below in the comments, and of course, if you guys have any other suggestions for the mock overall, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. So I do want to give a quick heads up for those of you guys who are invested in this series. December is going to be pretty crazy. Obviously, we're coming towards the peak season for retail, which is currently where I work. Also, we have our upcoming charity live stream coming up in the middle of the month. I have yet to announce it officially, but it will be coming up at some point in the middle of December, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. There is tons of planning that we're going to be getting done. Next week, there will be a Raxus segment. The idea is to live stream at least twice this week and just build trees, literally build trees. That tree right behind me probably took about 2.5 hours. Now, granted, I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I have like a technique and a plan to kind of go with, so hopefully they will be taking not as long as 2.5 hours, but they do take a while. There's a lot of parts invested into that build, specifically specifically that small, tiny little tree right there. So there is a lot of work to be done. I will definitely make it a priority, and I think next week we're just going to be building as many trees as I possibly can. I think, granted, with the size, I think we're going to go for 3 or 4 more of that size, and then 2 or 3 of the skinnier, smaller ones. I will try to make a skinnier, smaller tree. It didn't really work out this week, but I have a couple ideas on what I could do, so we will see how that comes into fruition for week 4 of Raxus a week from today on Saturday. And then just a reminder, there will be a massive giveaway, and just a reminder, the giveaways will be coming back for next week, so there was no giveaways for today's video, but if you guys want to enter for a chance to win some pretty awesome free Lego stuff, tune in next week for week 4. We will be kicking off the episode with a pretty cool giveaway, so stay tuned. That pretty much wraps up everything I have to talk about with you guys today. Of course, again, let me know what you're thinking. Drop a like down below if you enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up this week. This week is very busy. There are some new sets that have been announced, and this week we might be seeing some reviews of them here on the channel first, so make sure you subscribe with the bell icon on. Don't miss any of these exciting videos coming up this week. It's going to be very busy. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.